What's up? It's your boy Major 7 from the New Old Heads podcast. We just wrapped up episode 423, where we talked about Kendrick's sweep. He won 5 Grammys. We talked about Rapsody and Doechii also winning their first Grammys. We had a reaction video that was pretty cool to Professor Sky on YouTube, where he talked about Is Not Like Us the most impactful record in hip hop history? That was a great discussion. And we also talked about Beyonce winning Album of the Year and Country Album of the Year. So we hope y'all enjoy the episode. Peace.
You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7. My brothers are in the building, starting off with my man Jay Moore. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing well, just vibing for Black History Month. You know what it is.
We know the vibes all the time. My man Lonegevity. How are you, buddy?
Doing great, man. Doing swell. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Nice hoodie.
Thank you.
Like that. My man DJ Jay Diff. What's happening, man?
Salutations.
You good, my good brother?
Yes, indeed, man. We made it through the year of January, so
I'll tell you what.
we are here.
Man, didn't that mug go fast, or am I
No,
fast.
it went slow.
January was slow?
That was the slowest
me calling it
January.
the year of January.
Yeah.
It went fast for me.
I thought it went fast,
I
man.
can't tell. It was
Drag
pretty
for you,
slow.
huh?
It was pretty slow to me.
A lot of things getting signed out here, so a lot of changes going on in America. So you guys better get ready.
Changes.
It's coming.
Kendrick Lamar has swept the Grammys. Compton MC. He has significantly added to his legacy, I guess, if you could say, with his chart-topping 2024 single, Not Like Us, that wasn't on any project. And he went 5 for 5 for the year with
1,
pretty
2,
much
3, 4, 5.
you know.
Sweet.
And this LA anthem won in the categories of Best Rap Song, Best Rap Performance, Best Music Video, Record of the Year, and Song of the Year. Number one, did this shock anybody?
No,
Yes.
It didn't shock me.
It didn't shock me at all.
It shocked me that he got Record and Song of the Year. There were some heavy hitters in those categories on the pop side. I thought this was going to be the time they're going to give it to like Sabrina Carpenter. I thought, and of course you're in the same category with Beyonce and Taylor Swift. They don't let those. I mean, Beyonce took hers home. We might talk about that later, but I think Taylor Swift went home empty-handed, or maybe only got.
I think this is the first time ever.
Yeah.
The reason why it made
shocking.
sense to me though is because culturally, the cultural impact of that song was felt pretty much across the world. Even I would say America, but it was felt across the world, and it touched every genre. Every genre knows this song. Every fan of, you know what I'm saying? They know what this song is. I mean, when he got the Grammy, everybody in the crowd was singing A minor. You know what I'm saying?
It was crazy. They queued the music up so that when he was accepting it and when he got on stage, and the way the camera looked, everybody was saying A minor in the background, which was really kind of crazy on multiple levels.
It is.
But it shows you, that goes to show you how big the record is.
Yeah.
That right there just validates how big that record is. You can't go through Instagram stories, TikToks, or anything without at some point running into Not Like Us behind something, whether it's a basketball team, a soccer, like whatever, to Terry's point. So yeah, it didn't surprise me. That record is on its own at this point.
Yeah, even still, like, just to counter what you said, Jay, like, this was one of the biggest records in recent memory. I mean, granted, we are kind of engulfed into hip hop and we are a little biased in that aspect, but I felt like dethroning somebody like Drake and then continually punching him in the chest when he's already like dying,
Right.
is like, it's something crazy,
Yeah, this is a little stomp out.
Yeah. I mean, because I do understand its overall cultural impact. I do.
Yeah.
Especially, we talked about, how we heard it everywhere from like spots where it's underground hip hop to mainstream to bar mitzvahs to people
Everywhere.
we heard it in places that there's really no other hip hop played, but at the same time, like, I also know what that Sabrina Carpenter Espresso record is about. And please, like, those records, if you are, moving in different spaces where those songs are everywhere.
You know what I think about, or what I usually use as a good gauge for a record is, you know how you go when you're watching a football game, you transition to commercial. Like, I heard Not Like Us on all the broadcasts when they got the music underneath.
All through the Olympics.
There you go. Same thing. You know, so when they're playing a replay or whatever and they're going to commercial, it's not like us. It's the bed of music underneath it. So it's literally everywhere. It's everywhere. So I wasn't surprised.
You know, not to take anything from Sabrina Carpenter, but I don't know what that song is. And I'm not the gauge of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nor am I.
All, hear all, but I don't even know what that song is. If I heard it one time, I'm like, oh, I heard that song before.
Mm-hmm.
But I have not heard that requested even as much as Not Like Us from like DJs different places.
And it's probably a huge record, but to his point, once you hear it, I probably would be like, yeah, I've heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I can't lie. When you say Sabrina Carpenter and the Grammys together, I'm thinking of The Carpenters, and I know she probably doesn't sound like The Carpenters.
Not at all.
But,
Not at all.
But that would be kind of funny.
Is why all the girls in town.
Yeah, I'm not hip to her situation, but
Yeah.
But the Teddy Swim song, that was really good.
Lose Control, yeah.
Control.
That's one.
Great song.
That's one you really can't get away from either.
Yeah.
Great song.
The Shabuzi song. Those are records. He went home empty-handed. I thought they were going to give him one, but I mean, it was crazy. I don't think he's won any awards for that song, but I don't think he cares because once the Billboard and the American Music Awards roll around, you got to understand those songs are 100% about metrics, and he's going to sweep everything.
Oh yeah.
That part.
Does Kendrick winning these and sweeping these Grammys for, again, it's just for a single. It's not from a record, not from an album. Is this further validation, or does this really, it being a Grammy and all this stuff, does it really matter? And you know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, like, does this amplify it at all? I
think the Grammy piece is pushed to the back for me. I think the cultural impact and how the record moved on its own, that enhances his legacy and enhances his story. The how big the record is. Like the Grammys, we've talked about the flaws in the Grammys for years. Like we know what it is with that. So it's cool that he swept it. That's cool, but that just adds to the power of the actual record. So for me, I think the record living on its own and getting as big as it got culturally and just around the world, I think that is a feather he can put in his hat, because we hadn't seen a record like this in a long time. We'll probably talk about that too, but I think that's a badge for him right there, how big the record is.
Yeah, I think it further validates the fact that streaming had nothing to do with the relevance of this song. Granted, it did, because that's how you had to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
But from a population point of view and culturally, people consume this song on a regular basis, regardless of what the algorithm did to them. Like, people was getting in their rides or going out, actually pressing play on this song. Yep. That's why so many people know it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those polarizing moments in music where everybody that's anybody, even the people that don't know nothing or listen to music, know this song. True. And can recite certain words and phrases from this song. So as far as him winning 5 in one night off of one song that wasn't featured on anything, kind of speaks to what music is nowadays too. For him to be able to drop a song that was that impactful, mind you, it came out in May or June,
something like that. Yeah.
So in that short amount of time, it was able to take off to a point and stick on people's brains to the point where it won multiple Grammys without it have to even be sold, because I think it was it was dropped on YouTube, right? Before it was actually sold as a single. Yeah, I want to say it dropped just on a YouTube as a play. I'm
pretty sure that he allowed it also to live on YouTube, content ID free for a while as well, for content creators to react to it. So
I think the first time I saw the artwork on YouTube, to Terry's point. I think that's the first time I saw it before it hit the streaming services.
Yeah, or
if I'm not mistaken.
Was it an Instagram one? Because didn't one of them like only drop on Instagram or something?
Yeah, I wonder, was it Meet the Grams or the one before that?
It's the one with got the black Air Forces. But I can't remember if that
came
was
after the fact.
Was that after the fact?
That's for GNX.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was he had a cover art with some black. No, it was a black glove like.
That was Watch the Party Die.
Okay, got you.
The black Air Forces, but that came after the fact that.
Got you.
No, look. This is just, if anything, Kendrick's position in hip hop and just in pop culture is completely solidified, and I think this adds to it. I was just looking at the Billboard chart. Not Like Us is still in the top 30, along with like 4 other Kendrick songs. So, and it's only going to go up after the Grammys. Like there's a good chance it'll break back into the top 20 just based on how things there's always that Grammy bounce for certain artists.
Super Bowl.
You know, and
Also,
then
he's having the greatest week ever. He's following it up with a performance at the
Super Bowl. So, you know, if I was Drake, I wouldn't want to be in the country either.
Come on, man.
Like I said, Kendrick is already without this that guy. But, you know, to win 5 Grammys for a diss song, it was almost to the point where, you know, I don't know if he wanted to engage in this level of pettiness, but he almost should have got on stage and thanked Drake.
He did by wearing the Canadian tuxedo.
He did do that.
Which
Everything he does is so calculated.
Which I was
It's
not
just
aware
great.
of until I just saw that, and I had to Google it, and I laughed out loud when I saw that.
Yeah, he's and what's funny too. So he's suing UMG, obviously. Well, not him, but Drake. And when he won, I don't know which exact award he won. Lucian Gray was in the audience, and he was high-fiving Dr. Dre. And this is supposed to be who was setting Drake up to win all this time.
right.
Yeah.
And it's like it's watching the fall of an empire. And I can't sit back and say that Drake can't bounce back from this. But what this done,
That was my next question.
yeah, I don't think he can't bounce back. I don't think his relevance will be as relevant. You know what I'm saying? I think it took a lot of shimmer off his shine, so to speak.
Call me crazy, but I think Drake is going to be just fine because he's a pop star first before he's a rapper. And
But people are fickle.
people are fickle, but that pop side of him, to me, is damn near Teflon.
So is Ja Rule. Ja Rule was a pop star at one point.
Nah, but Ja Rule ain't never been big as Drake.
Yeah, I mean Drake is a different type of artist.
Yeah, he ain't never been like that. I think with Drake, his pop side alone will keep him comfortable. Now, when it comes to rap and hip hop, he's going to take a hit there. That is going to hurt him. He might get up, Craig, on the hip hop side, but him being an international pop star, them people in Australia not worried about Kendrick.
Well, they ain't necessarily that excited about Drake either because evidently this concert tour hasn't sold out.
I didn't
And
know.
he
that.
also came out. So
Yeah, I didn't know that part.
Drake is such a performer, and not necessarily saying a good performer because his concerts to me suck. Like how he sets it up. I don't like that, man. It like just plain and I'm just gonna walk around and do this and that. I like somebody. If you're a performer, perform. If you're gonna be a pop star, embody that. But he came out at this show with a sweatshirt evidently that has bullet holes in it with smoke coming out of him.
That's cute.
Like he's rising from the ashes or something.
What is it, Malone?
You just got your ass beat, bro.
I mean,
Malone said that's cute.
I don't know if this will. I am very curious if this will affect Drake's future at all. I kind of err on the side of it not really affecting him. To your point, Mike,
yeah.
only because like in the same way, like, are people really going to cancel Snoop?
No.
Like R. Kelly still has a pretty decent fan base. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
He really does. I saw somebody. There was like an R. Kelly like tribute party.
No, for
And I
real.
guarantee you, it was popping.
For sure.
If he got out of jail tomorrow, his concert would probably sell out.
so I mean, I think it would take a lot, and I think Kendrick has done almost as much as any person can do to absolutely destroy one person like that. But I think he's lost his title in hip hop culture in that aspect.
That's where I'm going.
But as far as being able to drop hip hop records, I don't know if that's going to affect him.
Nope.
And I think he's still going to be able. I think he'll have a little bit of an asterisk next to his name, but I don't think it'll really affect him too much.
I think he'll be
I
straight.
somewhat agree, but in the same token, when Drake makes his comeback, because I mean, he's made it to a point in his career to where he can probably drop a dud, and he can keep doing what he's doing, and it's still going to do something. It's still going to move the needle a little bit. What he has to do in order to kind of draw people back in is awaken the hungry artist in himself in order to make people pay attention to him again. Because the reason why I said people are fickle, because in this social media day and age, people pretty much lose themselves based on how they're perceived on social media,
Good
so to
point.
speak. So he might feel a certain type of way. I don't know how he is, but he might feel a certain type of way how people are dogging him, and he might not have that fire in him like he used to. If he can find that spark, again, even Kendrick said, I like this type of Drake that makes these type of records.
Right.
If he goes back to making those type of records and not try to be Billy Badass sticking his chest out like he can really reign at the top of the hip hop mountain, all right, he's gonna have some success with that.
I just don't think. I don't think that. him tapping into that. I don't know if he's past that because of how successful he can still be on the quote unquote other side. Is this enough to make him tap into that would be my question. Is he down bad enough to where he has to pull that part out of himself again? Because he's still going to be, to what Lone and I were discussing, he's still going to be super successful.
But he can't drop some bullshit right now. It has to move the needle. Kendrick literally just dropped a diss song against you. He baited you. You jumped into the battle. He dropped his series of songs, won an award for it, dropped a fire-ass album afterwards, and is performing at the Super Bowl the week following, winning 5 Grammys after you wop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No, your rundown is accurate in terms of Kendrick. Maybe it's just me thinking that Drake's level of Teflon is just something it's hard to cut through. Maybe that's just my personal opinion.
He doesn't have anything else to fall back. I hate to make this a Kendrick and Drake conversation.
No, for sure.
It just makes sense because obviously Kendrick won these 5 awards for a diss song against him.
True.
And this has never happened before. A diss song winning an award. Granted, Drake's back to back was actually nominated for a Grammy, but it didn't win.
True.
He doubled down on this situation and won a Grammy on it. And Drake just has to get out of his own way at this point and do what he's supposed to do musically.
Look, Drake, all he has to do is go back and remember he got on and really was able to be that guy by making songs for girls. All right.
Undefeated.
Being that guy, like you said, for the Billy Badass, if you will, and with the tough guy image and that none of us believe, because there's no reason for us to believe it. Like that's you doing quote unquote what you think you should do in hip hop posturing,
because he studies rap battles for a living.
But the thing is, what Drake has always been able to, because the thing is, the most streamed artist last year, even with all this, was still Drake.
Yeah,
the artist that when I see how culture moves in real time, it's not like all of a sudden people stopped liking when the Drake records came on. It's they really got hype when They Not Like Us came on. So it's not like he got him completely out of the paint. Like it's not like Kendrick went to everybody's house and every DJ's house and erased Drake songs out of their Serato.
Yeah.
It's still, those records still have a place.
I'm still playing those out.
Yeah, exactly. So, like Drake just has to get back to doing what he knows how to do and does best. Like he needs to leave Kendrick alone. But at the same time, I think he's one of those people, he wants to be in that special, echelon of artists when they talk about Jay-Z and Nas and Biggie and then you get to J. Cole, then you get to Kendrick. Drake, you kind of on the outside looking in right now.
And he messed that up by filing his lawsuit too against
that part,
getting beat up in a rap battle.
So I'm not surprised when everybody in the building was like A minor, not only because they knew it, but like there's industry people who was like, look, you're about to F it up for everybody, trying to push this forward. How do you think this works? And so, Dr. Dre and Lucian giving each other high fives when Kendrick's record comes on, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Look at Nate Jeezy. Shout out to Nate Jeezy in the chat. He said, Drake and Party Next Door dropping an album in the next 10 days. I promise you it's going to be all right when that album comes out.
We'll see. We'll see. But
if it's not, I'm going to come on the show and say I was wrong.
But at the same time, like I feel like it's a different conversation. We're talking about him in the pop space, which we've always said that he's been in.
Yeah.
Yep.
That he dabbles in hip hop versus credibility in hip hop. Shouts to Nate, which is what he said. Which is, I think that's the thing. I think he's lost that. Any type of piece that he has, and I don't know if there's a redemption path for him for that
on the hip hop side.
He can go grab 21 Savage and tell 40 to get to it.
It's gonna take more than that. It's gonna take more than that.
When you see how the shifts are in culture and how quickly they happen, you just never know. Like, he don't need but one. He needs one to kick in the door, and then all of a sudden let that be. Drake has another song of the summer in him.
Yeah, I can see that. But the issue that he has is, are artists still willing to work with him on the same level that they worked with him before? Based on this situation of how pretty much Kendrick called him out, how he uses these artists to pretty much ride their wave, gets success off of that, and then moves forward. Are artists still going to pretty much allow him to do that? Or is it going to be another new artist that comes up and he kind of just nudges them, let me get on your song?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Look, if that's his steez and that's how he's been moving this whole time, there's somebody who would break their neck for a Drake feature.
Agreed.
Yeah.
For
But
sure.
then too, like Sexy Red's song, was it You're My Everything?
No
yeah.
idea.
That song came out after the beef. They actually used the BBL Drizzy beat in that song.
Right.
That song did a little something,
But that was a Sexy
but
Red song.
but my point is it wasn't enough.
No.
So he got on a song that was a hit, and it still was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
No,
that was cute.
Yeah, you got to do a lot better than hopping on songs with Sexy Red if
Yeah.
you're trying to overwhelm what Kendrick did to you.
That ain't gonna get it.
Yeah, I think he the problem is he totally underestimated this situation and pretty much said Kendrick just opened his mouth. Somebody handing him a Grammy right now. That came to bite him in his ass.
Yeah, handed him five of them.
And granted, he doesn't
was
even
kinda
have
right.
5 total.
He's kind of right though, right?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
he earned it though.
yeah.
Kendrick just opened his mouth.
Someone gonna hand him a Grammy right now?
I just handed him 5.
Yeah.
He has more Grammys off this one song than Drake has total.
Drake will re-up at them billboards though.
We'll see.
All right. So with all that Kendrick talk we just talked about, I just watched and did a full reaction to a video from YouTube creator and professor. He goes by Professor Sky, and he made the argument and the claim for the argument. Made the claim for the argument.
Kind of
Yeah, kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, we'll take it though.
Yeah, he made the claim that Not Like Us is the most important rap song ever based upon certain criteria. And so let's watch this little snippet and then I'll talk about it a little bit more. And then we'll see if it potentially is or if we have some other potential songs that could go into this. So
If we are using this as a criteria for songs, what song has more artistic value, cultural relevance, commercial ubiquity, and institutional acceptance while doing something profound in both hip-hop culture and popular culture at large? You tell me in the comments, what songs do more? What song is more deserving of most important rap song of all time?
in this conversation, he brought up some examples himself and pretty much let it be known as to why he broke it down to this being the most important rap song of all time.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with this. I kind of don't necessarily agree with the parts that I kind of talked about, like sure artistic value, sure cultural relevance, commercial ubiquity, and institutional acceptance are two of them where I had a hard time really kind of like 100% agreeing that those two criteria pieces are important to be the best hip hop song of all time or the biggest rap song of all time. I guess maybe if you depend on how you want to word it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I did like his breakdown and how he did it, so definitely check that video out. So he did reference, to Terry's point, he referenced
The
Rapper's Delight, The Message, Fuck the Police,
Yep.
Fight the Power.
Fight the Power. He mentioned My Name Is by Eminem. And then he jumped 20 years and said
He
Old
also said
Town Road.
MC Hammer, Can't Touch This.
Can't Touch This, and Juicy
Juicy, yeah.
as well. But then he jumped 20 years and went, he said almost nothing, and then Old Town Road, which I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Old Town Road was one of his suggestions.
I don't even know if that's really a hip hop song.
I mean, it's pop hop.
Weren't we trying Old Town Road?
It was a country record, right?
It was a country record.
Yeah, that's how it was being presented at the time. Yeah.
So, like I said, it was a good video, but I don't know. Initial thoughts on this idea about, one, maybe his criteria on here. Do you agree with that?
I think in the moment, the moment obviously the record came out, a few months ago or whatever, but I don't know if I'm ready to go there just yet because we're kind of still in it. So that doesn't mean to say that we can't take a gauge of how we feel about it right now. But
why that kind of makes sense though that he can bring that up is because we've been around for these other songs.
Right.
That's fair. That's fair.
So we know.
That's fair.
We've heard and seen what a song like this does in real time. I think that's why we can speak on why this song makes sense to be included in that. What I would say personally,
I would want to start off with, do you guys agree with his
criteria and everything?
Thesis, essentially.
I would take out commercial ubiquity.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what would you replace with the ones that you don't agree with?
That's a good question.
I don't know if I need to replace it with
I think
anything.
I'd just take that one out.
Because
the commercial ubiquity, I think the commercial ubiquity kind of makes sense based on, again, like how much we said we've heard this song and where it's been used at. It's been used at sporting events. It's been used on the news even. Like if they cut to a break, you might hear the instrumental playing. Obviously, it's going to be at the Super Bowl. It just swept the Grammys. Everybody in the crowd knew the song. So from a commercial standpoint, I think that kind of makes sense.
But doesn't commercial ubiquity also kind of imply sales as opposed to largeness?
I also hear
commercial sales versus ubiquity though.
I also hear crossover appeal when I hear commercial ubiquity.
Yeah, I do too.
The record is crossed over.
Because I feel like when you reach this status, I'm thinking, okay, you're no longer hip hop rap music, you are pop music.
Mm-hmm.
And so can you really classify a pop record as a hip hop record in that type of sense?
Well, the thing about certain pop records,
I mean, I know I'm splitting hairs here, but
right.
like,
But the thing about certain pop records is it actually wasn't created to the point to be a pop record
at all.
But its impact made it a pop record essentially.
for sure, for this example, right? Yes,
Right.
but I'm talking about in general the criterion in general, right?
Mhm.
Because if this is going up against an Old Town Road as another reference,
Mhm.
like, for example, what about Soulja Boy's Crank That?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But can you make the argument that it's from a commercial ubiquity standpoint, or maybe even institutional acceptance? Can you make the claim that it's has any of that at all, even though it was monumental? It was the first YouTube.
How did he define institutional acceptance?
You can kind of though, even before defining institutional. I don't think he really defined any of these.
A little bit. I mean, I think I would. The way that I look at institutional acceptances is the institution of the music industry and what that encompasses.
Okay. You
know what I mean? Like,
okay,
the Grammys.
So Soulja Boy's Crank That would be a great, pretty much example of that, because people have credited Soulja Boy for being pretty much the first breakout star from YouTube.
true.
But isn't that cultural relevance as opposed to institutional acceptance? Because did he get accepted? Like, did he get a Grammy for that? You know, like, did he?
He got a Grammy because of Beyonce.
But not for.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. I guess like those are the only two that I'm just kind of on the fence with. Like, I like the way that he presented everything and, you know, following what he did. But you know,
and I can look. To me, taking commercial ubiquity out, I wouldn't particularly need to replace it with anything. Institutional acceptance, we've had these conversations every year about Grammy time about how incredible it is that some of our favorite artists, for the best work that they've ever done, have never been recognized. Not only with a win, some of them with no nominations. Like, I don't know. I think this may have been the first time Pete Rock has actually been, with the album he did with Common, which I thought was great, was actually nominated for a Grammy.
I think they got two.
So
2 on the night.
So Pete
Rock is a different type of artist, though.
I understand that, but when I think about, when we talk about the greatest songs of all time, and if you're going to assign
largest and most important, right?
Largest and most important.
So I think that's
but like
integral here.
As people who are, dyed in the wool hip hop, what's a more important song than? There are more important songs than, but wouldn't you put?
Troy is 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Troy is 100% there outside of the commercial part.
Artistic value,
100%.
cultural relevance,
100%.
maybe not commercial ubiquity, maybe not institutional acceptance.
No, it's accepted. If we're looking at institutional acceptance to what Lone said about hip hop as a whole, Troy is 100% there.
Yeah, but it's only hip hop. I can play Troy right now to some people, and this might be the first time they ever heard that song.
Yeah, so I think to his point, it's like Not Like Us is the most important rap song ever. You have to have commercial ubiquity to be considered one of the most important rap songs. But my thing is like it's kind of counterintuitive, or it clashes with the whole purpose of that in the first place. It's out of these, if you want to call these 4 buckets, that's the only one where I'm kind of like Jay Moore says, like I don't know. Well, even institutional acceptance though, like I was thinking, all right, the institution is a lot of the institutions that we're talking about are white related institutions.
So you can talk about corporate entities.
So it's only successful if a white corporate whatever says that this black culture is cool. Like,
and that's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other conversation.
That kind of gets muddy in that situation.
It does.
But I think the point that he's trying to make is the song it moved that much that it crossed over to where they like it. So I kind of liken it to, like, if I go DJ a corporate event, there's certain hip hop songs or rap songs that I can play, and the CEO would get drunk and everybody else is having a great time. This is probably going to be one of those songs. Soulja Boy's Crank That is one of those songs. I can play that at a corporate event and it goes over perfectly fine.
But I do think, before we jump into the songs, I do think it is important to, I think the way that he is putting this together is that that these two elements are important for it to be considered one of the biggest songs. Whether or not it's the greatest song of all time or not, I think is kind of irrelevant to this point. And so
he also didn't say hip hop; he said rap,
which is different too, right?
Point.
Okay.
So I think.
Then where's Regulate on this list? I'm dead serious. I'm
like even like Snoop. What's my name? Gin and Juice.
Yeah. I thought about Gin and Juice, but I don't.
Do you know which one fits all these? That Dre and Snoop did was Next Episode.
Yeah.
I thought Next Episode.
You want to talk about it? So you could play that at a corporate event, a sporting event, a hip hop
Dre
event.
Day.
I thought Country Grammar.
I don't know, kinda.
No,
not really.
I still think y'all all miss.
I hate that
I think
song,
y'all leaving one.
I mean, we're leaving a lot if we're having that conversation.
I would put Hot in here on here more than Country Grammar before I put.
What
Country
about
Grammar.
Bust a Move?
Yeah, even Baby Got Back.
Yeah.
If we're just going to talk about rap songs, because I think Baby Got Back was up for a Grammy.
Yeah,
so.
But
you can say "Whoop, there it is."
But
but would you put artistic value to "Whoop"?
That's a good one.
I mean, it's jock rock. But,
hey, that Young MC Bust a Move probably got like a 99% acceptance rate.
But okay. So,
I'm sorry.
So no, you're good. So with all these songs that we could potentially come up with, is there any song, The Sky's Point, that can compete with Not Like Us for all four of these things that's ever come out?
The Next Episode.
You think?
I think now we're looking at a song that's knocking on 25 years old, and you can play it like it's new at almost any place.
What about the Super Bowl?
Forgot about Dre.
Man,
I would still put Next Episode. Like if they could play the Next Episode. Like you said, going into commercial through the bumpers, and like it would make sense.
What about Institutional Acceptance? Did it win 5 Grammys like that?
Oh God!
Dr. Dre won.
I'm just saying, like,
he won Producer of the Year that year it came out.
Yeah, that is a decorated album.
Yeah,
album, but song.
Snoop has never won a Grammy yet. Like when we talk about artists with cultural impact,
right?
Snoop, regardless of what just happened this past year, is one of the most recognized hip hop figures of all time. And he's never won a Grammy.
True.
But I think he still has songs that would probably fit in every one of those categories.
And I just remember kind of joking, but not really, when me and Brother to the Night, shout out to him, were first working together at my place. I can say it now because it's closed, the Casbah. And I would joke, I was like, yo, if it's early and it's just a random grouping of white people who come in to have a drink before it gets thick, if you know what I'm saying, like go ahead and play the Next Episode, go ahead and hit off that G-Funk.
Or even Regulators.
Regulate, yeah, exactly. That's why I said Regulate. Like those songs they might as well be new.
What about those Little John era songs too?
I don't think those have held up.
The only thing about those songs is
I don't think they've held up. I never liked them, but I'm just saying.
I mean, they still go.
That's what I mean. That's my point. They still
go, but the thing about the Little John segment of time is what they classify as urban. That's real urban, because you're probably not going to play that at a corporate function. So when I think of something that hits all of these, it has to be able to go off at a corporate function.
Right.
And I'm not talking about a all black company that's part of the Fortune 500 that came up on that shit and is going off there.
Right.
It has to be a mixture of different cultures in there. Like this song is going to get played whether there's white, black, Indian, Korean, Chinese, Mexican. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows this song. And I think those are the type of songs that fall into that category. Is something that isn't necessarily culturally biased by race. I think everybody has to know what that song is.
No, I agree.
I don't know. I don't know if I have one song that is
but also,
bigger than like Not Like Us.
It's a hard out. Because even when we talk about institutional acceptance, Kendrick swept, the BET Hip Hop Awards that none of us watched or cared about, and then can come and do at the Grammys. He's going to get his at basically every award show, and then next year you got to realize GNX will be eligible.
Yeah,
for
he's
the
not
album
done.
category.
He's
So he's going on a run in what people might call, I don't know, maybe the second part or the middle of his career. Like this is crazy for where I thought after Mr. Morale we weren't going to hear from Kendrick for years. He's going to be like Sade. Whenever we got something, we'd be happy to get it. And this is how big Kendrick and GNX was. And I didn't even think about this when I said that. Is that Sade put out a song the same day GNX came out, and I know some people who are listening to this was like, what? Sade put out a new song?
I didn't know.
Exactly. And
I love Sade.
Yeah, I know, but it's just that's how big Kendrick's wave is right now, that Sade put out a new song and we don't care.
Was the song good? Have you heard it?
It's all right.
What about
it was just all right.
What about non hip hop related stuff? Is there what songs can compete with Not Like Us in the same?
Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Man, now that's a good one.
I mean, I've seen that song. Now we're knocking on 30 years. You can play it at a sporting event, corporate. Yeah, you can play it at an old heads party. You can play it at a kids party. For whatever reason, that song just goes off completely.
Yeah, Living on a Prayer.
This is how we do it. Yep.
That's actually good. Yeah. This is how we do it. Yeah.
Return of the Mac.
Return of the Mac is arguably probably could be in the top 10 songs of all time. And that's a whole nother conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Return of the Mac is one of those joints.
Ring off every single time.
Every single time.
Of course, Prince and Michael Jackson, they have a handful of them apiece.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Of course, Beat It, Off the Wall. Well, Off the Wall is more of a, I would say that's a specific cultural type of song to me. Even when I talk about Frankie Beverly, like culturally black people love Frankie Beverly, and it can ring off at any function where black people
I don't
are.
care what it is.
It might not hit the same if there's, other people involved.
Single ladies, Love on Top.
Not only, yeah.
There are several, like Beyonce.
Survivor.
Yeah.
Destiny Child.
Yeah.
YMCA.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Trump likes that one.
Yeah.
Apparently doesn't know what the song's about.
Hey, you got to do that, Jay Moore. I saw you over there.
That's terrible.
Yeah. What you be doing?
I think Mariah Carey probably got a couple. She got a Christmas song that everybody fucking knows.
Undefeated every
Always
time.
Be My Baby.
You think that one would be better than I can't. Damn, what is the Mariah Carey song I'm thinking about?
All I Want for Christmas.
No, that's the one I was.
I hate that.
That one's undefeated.
Yeah, I don't think that's like at the top of the mountain when it comes to defeating a song, because it comes back
That's
in
what I mean.
rotation every year.
That's what I mean. It's
Well, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, Summertime.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Long summertime is any. You can put summertime anywhere. Drums, please, anywhere.
You played at
I
a
don't
Chris
know.
Rock concert.
That might be culturally relevant too, just as
I
for
think
black
it is.
people.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a mix, but I think it's also it's a age thing as well.
So we're just talking about a song that spans all cultures.
Yeah. Summertime is one.
I don't know.
I don't. You know what? I take that back. Maybe not.
Summertime?
I think
Maybe
I
the
think-
Fresh Prince theme song.
Fresh
That's
Prince theme
fair.
song might have,
Summertime, though.
but it's like
That's culturally
that was,
relevant.
it's but also
To black culture.
You're thinking about how old we are.
Yeah, that's we're
and when
older.
we hear it, I don't know if a 15-year-old will hear Summertime and give it.
They won't. I know this because I have students. And I
Yeah,
played them
so
over.
I got to take that one back. That was a mistake on mine.
when I talk to, because we talk about Jazzy Jeff in the class that I teach,
Yeah.
and that most people have never heard of Jazzy Jeff. Most people have never, kids wise, even black kids,
Bless their hearts.
never heard of Summertime.
No,
So
I
I'm just
believe
saying, like, just
That's a family,
crazy, but I do
That's a
believe it.
family reunion joint. We know that your family like to get together every year. And
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
That's
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the songs that y'all gonna hear.
100%.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some other outside of the genre songs.
probably some
so.
Beatles related stuff. Like John Lennon's Imagine probably is up there.
Smells like Teen Spirit.
Absolutely.
Like,
Good
yeah.
call.
Smells like
Sure.
Teen
Good
Spirit
call.
goes. That Papa Roach.
Do you think this
Last Resort.
is this
You can play that.
is this
couple
Kendrick, is
different
this
places.
Kendrick's biggest song ever?
Easily.
Yeah.
probably next to All Right.
I think this is bigger
I think
than
it
All Right.
towers.
Oh, it beats
It's bigger
this.
than All Right.
Well, it towers All
definitely
Right.
towers, but that was a very successful song.
Yeah.
But he honestly, he had another song that I want to say he won a Grammy for. What is that?
Humble or
Humble.
Oh yeah.
Humble was big. but-
Humble was big, but it wasn't. I know this is
This
pretty
different.
much. You can't compare any
Yeah,
of his
this is
songs to
different.
this.
no, you
Yeah,
can't.
this is different.
No, I mean, and the fact that like it's just there's another element to this to where like the lyrics that people are actually singing to this are not like your typical like let's go have fun party lyrics. They're like talking about a PDF file.
Yeah,
But you know, it's
Talking about minors and stuff, talking about, it's a diss record.
that. But what you just said speaks to how unique this is, because when you hear the record out in public or you hear it in a certain setting, that it's not about that. Because the
No,
way, like, it doesn't matter. It
it's
does
like-
not matter at all.
it kind of is though, and I'm gonna give this song even more peas because this song is almost like a public service announcement. Like seriously, like watch out for these type of people. Even the kids are hip hop. No, that's not right because I'm just saying. Even the conversation we had last week about the streamer.
Academics, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a song that's relevant to that topic.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like one of them after school specials joints that came on after you got out of school telling you what type of people to beware of. And it just got very popular.
Yeah.
And now it's on a national level of being pretty much, you know what I'm saying, is letting people know don't mess with these folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
It's
not
crazy.
wrong, man, because I could easily see that multiple people receiving it that way.
And that's why
Yeah.
people are so happy about it. Yeah,
I
don't
can
mess
see
with
that.
you know what I'm saying?
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
What about
It just
I don't
adds
know,
to the lore of the record, bro.
Yeah, I don't know if it like really has that much of an impact on like changing the environment around those type
I
of
wouldn't
people.
say that, but
Well, yeah,
it's awareness. It's awareness.
Yeah, it's just general awareness, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Nate Jeezy got a good one. I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney
Good
Houston.
call,
Yep, that's-
Jeezy.
Or I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston.
I keep forgetting Jeezy. Yeah, Jeezy is a DJ too, so he know. Y'all know.
what about My Hero by the Foo Fighters?
I don't.
How's that go?
What's it sound like?
I'll know
I'm
it
a
when
bit
you-
alone on this
yeah.
one.
So like,
I gotta hear it. Yeah, I
so
need to
far
hear that
we're
one.
0 for 3. So I'm gonna just say no. I don't even know what this is.
Nah,
Okay,
no,
all
that
right.
ain't good enough. That's not good enough.
Not good enough.
Nah, I
Okay.
gotta know it.
Ants Marching by Dave Matthews Band. I'm trying to go out there. and see.
Yeah, I don't know.
See, you going a little too far out now.
Hey,
Turn
man.
that shit off.
Maybe Bad by Michael Jackson.
I would say bad.
You wouldn't? You don't think every
it.
culture knows that?
Beat
Beat
it.
it.
Beat it before bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say beat it. Probably Thriller, just because of. I
Don't
mean,
stop till you get enough.
Billy G. Oh, that's
Don't
that's
stop till you get enough is a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I'd say beat it over that though.
My Sacrifice by Creed.
Nah. You
No,
gotta
I
play-
would. Yeah, I think that probably
You
is.
gotta play it because I don't know what that is. I'm with Lone on that. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's a frat boy song, but everybody knows it.
I'm
Once
sure
you
I
hear it.
probably know once I heard it. You know,
You
but
gotta ask Bayou about that.
But if I can't,
One Love by Bob Marley. Who don't?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
humble or all right.
I think
bigger?
all right.
All Right.
All right is bigger than Humble.
Because All Right hit at the right time.
Yeah, it did.
was.
Do you think that's more cultural though?
What?
It
All
might-
right versus
as far
Humble.
as it being more relevant,
Yeah,
it might be cultural.
because I had this thought when I was thinking about when I was doing a react to this video originally, Professor Sky video. I was thinking, it's like, man, is all right. Maybe it's a little more cultural and it's a little bit more for. I feel like Humble's bigger. I feel like I don't know, but maybe they're about the same.
All
Or
Right
it-
was.
I think Humble might have a more of a commercial appeal.
That's what
Then
I would
All Right.
say.
That yeah, I definitely say that.
Yeah, but
All Right is kind
was-
of like a modern day We Shall Overcome almost.
Happy by Pharrell.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, because that gets the kids.
There you
too.
go.
Yeah,
So think about songs that kids like,
for sure.
because with you bringing up Happy, that made me think about that. Because generally, songs that kids pay attention to are the songs that are the ones that fit this criteria.
You know what's crazy, Long? I just thought about what Terry said about kids, right? And this,
Man, F these kids.
Oh, see,
see, you see, but it goes to show you how cold Michael Jackson is, because there are so many kids that the records you were naming, they know him. They know Michael Jackson records through the parents, through uncles, however it came
I
down.
mean, you could even say Bruno Mars at this point. There's
True.
some Bruno Mars songs that span across all cultures.
Not that one with Sexy Red, but
No, not that one.
not that. But
I got one. Suavemente by Elvis Crespo.
Yep, that's a fact.
You don't know Suavemente, do you?
I don't think I know.
Oh
that
my goodness, where have you been?
Yeah,
You gonna have to run that one for me. I'm sorry. You know that one? Does Lone know that one?
How about I'm too sexy for my shirt?
Slide A will be mad at you for not knowing what that song is.
He would. He probably. I'm sorry, Slide. I don't. Y'all got to show your boy.
I'm too sexy. Milli Vanilli,
Girl,
Can't Stand the Rain, or Girl, You Know It's True.
girl, you know it's true.
Stand the rain.
No.
Or Blame It on the Rain.
Blame It on the
Blame it on the rain.
I
Yeah.
was like, what?
Yeah, I know it had rain in it.
What's the joint? What's the '80s joint? No, never mind. I ain't gonna even sing it.
Take on me
Yeah, I think everybody knows Take On Me.
or Africa. Probably
That's
not.
Toto.
Yeah, that song has
Africa is
even
fire,
a
but
better place in my heart now, because when my daughter was being born in the delivery room, the first song that played, and then freaking Madonna, Open Your Heart to Me. So them songs have, it was mad weird because
who was
it's
controlling the
real
house when your daughter was
It
being
was
born?
on like some random hospital radio
Yo,
channel.
that's
So
crazy.
now whenever I hear them two songs, it takes me back to that day.
Yo,
It's
man.
weird.
Enter Sandman by Metallica, maybe.
That's right up there.
I think I actually know that one.
Since you've been gone,
I know that one. I know that one.
Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know about that.
Everybody know that
That.
song.
Well,
I mean, I
I've
think I
seen it
know
go
it, but
crazy when they put on that Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Probably that Justin Bieber, baby.
Yeah.
I-
Probably.
Maybe.
Bayou likes that one. That's his ringtone thing.
All right. Well, shouts to Professor Sky. If you haven't checked out this video, I believe the video is called. What is it actually called? Let me kind of reference it here.
Yeah, good conversation from
We'll drop
Professor
the,
Scott.
we'll
on
drop
that
the
one.
link in the whatever.
Yeah.
I
kind of think I want to,
Oh, well.
since we do list and whatnot,
Mhm.
maybe we should come up with a
Jackson, can you hand
list
me my
similar to this,
Can you hand me my phone?
Same
please?
same concept, same topic.
and then add like, I don't know, we have like a draft of certain songs and meet a certain type of criteria.
Something, but for this one.
Yeah, I like
That'd be
that. I
fun.
like that. That'd be fun. Yeah.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member. All details on newoldheads.com. Doechii. Florida native and TDE artist Doechii made history by winning Best Rap Album during the 2025 Grammys. She is the third woman to win the award, joining Cardi B and Lauryn Hill. Was this a shock to anybody?
When I looked at the
Who was she up against?
That's the question. So it's J. Cole, Doechii, Common and Pete Rock, Death of Slim Shady, and then Future and Metro Boomin.
We don't trust you.
Yeah, after I saw who was on it, I was like, okay,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
She's had a nice push lately. You know, it's just crazy. Like, you know, when we started like reviewing her videos, it was like, oh, you guys got to listen to this. You got to listen to that.
True.
It was like we got into it as right when she was ascending.
Yeah.
And you know, it's crazy because she was also, I don't know if we're going to talk about this later with the new artist thing. Because she was also up for Best New Artist.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in my mind, I'm like, well, okay.
That were Chapel.
Yeah,
won.
Chapel Roan.
I haven't heard anything from her.
I'm not hip, but she's been around for like 11 years, right?
You know,
all of
and
these people
when I went
been
back
around
and looked
for a
at
minute.
all the, like, even Shaboozie's been putting out records for 10 years.
Yeah,
This
so
is Doechii's second album.
So so that's literally one of the questions that Mike kind of proposed here is like, how has this term new artist changed, or has it?
It absolutely has, because
Has
we
it?
I think we kind of had this same conversation about SZA. SZA has literally been out since probably 2012, 2013. Like, if you really think about it, she's been out for that long. I remember, matter of fact, because me and Brad,
Shouts to Spools.
yeah, we were putting the finishing touches on the Cut Camp joint.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember showing him SZA's first album. Like, I really like the vibes on this joint. So she's been out that long.
Yeah.
And she just got new artist nomination. When was that, like last year or the year before?
I think it was like for what people
idea.
consider to be her first album.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, because I had to do my research on this, because I started looking up all the people who were nominated, and I was like, am I being unfair to Doechii? And that's when I realized none of these people are really new artists.
Nah.
Yeah.
You know, some of these people have 5 and 6 albums. You know, like Teddy Swims has a Christmas album. That's how long he's. You know, I mean, like that's how many albums he has out. You know, and the thing is, most of these records have been put out on major labels. It's not like they just like they got an album that they might have sold on consignment at their local store. Like, no, these have been people signed. Every single one of them. If you look up all the nominees, all of them have chart history. Even Sabrina Carpenter, like this isn't her first album.
Yeah.
You know, and say even if you take out the people who just put out a single here and EPs, like still, like most of these people have had a full LP body of work put out on a major label before this. Because I remember the year Jill Scott. You know, she was up for Best New Artist. You know, that was her first album, you know, and I thought that was the criteria. But like I went and, you know, did a little research, and it's like, well, once it's real ambiguous words. Once these, you know, the artist becomes a part of the cultural consciousness and all this other shit. And it's like, oh, so basically when
now we're going to pay attention.
Yeah. Like basically when white folks find out about you.
Exactly.
And that includes white artists as well. You know, now we can consider you new
or part of the fold.
We'll slide you in that category.
You know, it's just like the other. I think Meg Thee Stallion won a few years ago, and it was like, how you gonna win? You know, Best New Artist for your 3rd or 4th album. You know, and people say, yeah, and when people say, oh, it's a mixtape, or even with the Doechii record, okay. What we know as mixtapes, what I think about when 50 Cent was putting out those joints,
exactly,
you know,
over industry beats.
Yeah. So my whole thing is, if you cleared samples, if it's streaming or someone can download it, buy it through a legitimate platform, it is not a mixtape.
It's an album. This is kind of I feel like the artist era is coming back. And the reason why I bring that up is because Doechii, her rollout for this album, if we're going to talk about any of these albums on this, the only rollout that can probably come close to it is the Eminem.
But I guess that's next year. But
which one?
Tyler's,
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
but I'm saying as far as the ones that have been nominated in this category, we're kind of in the era of artists, because Doechii was on nighttime TV shows where she's been performing at
they hit the button on her.
Yeah, and the Tiny Desk situation.
Yeah.
Her presence is that of an artist versus somebody that just wants to be out here and doing it just because I'm doing it. And that kind of speaks to like the Kendrick Lamars and things of that nature too, because they're actually performing this stuff. Every time she sets out on stage, it's a performance. Nice. You know what I'm saying? It's unison with people that are with her. There's choreography. There's things. I think people are wanting that more now. And these other albums on this list don't do that. And not to say, even though we're just saying that this is the rap category, but rap doesn't mean that you can't be performative. Right. And she's definitely doing that. This is a big year for TDE, even though Kendrick technically isn't TDE anymore. But and actually Professor Scott brought up too, he had a point, and not to take anything away from Doechii, he said without Kendrick's situation this year, would Doechii have won or even been considered in this conversation?
A good question.
Yeah.
What were her songs?
Nissan Altima.
Nissan Altima.
Well, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Bullfrog.
Mm-hmm.
She had a handful of them.
But you know, when like I said, when I also, this is something I always forget. Whenever you see somebody perform at the Grammys or American Music Awards or even BET Awards, that means their record company has put a certain amount of money for them to get on stage. Mm-hmm. Okay, so all these artists who performed, who were up for Best New, I mean, you know, this is where we might be able to talk about a little bit of the politics.
For sure.
Of, you know, because it's not like Doechii just got on stage and rapped. There was...
she clowned.
There's choreography, there were costume changes, there was lighting setups, like everything. This wasn't, it wasn't that they just throw a couple dollars and put a mic in her hand and say.
She wasn't just up there rapping.
Yeah.
No, she showed out.
Because at the end of the Grammys is, you know, the reason why we don't see so many, you know, some of our favorites get their Grammy presented to them during the course of the show is because they have to make it a TV show, and the TV show is about showcasing these performances.
Mm-hmm. And there was actually artists in the audience once she was finished, like, oh my God. Like they would flash over the artists and they was like mouthing this off of her performance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and as when we talk about these albums, J. Cole kind of shot himself in the foot with the Might Delete Later. Granted, it still made this nomination.
It shouldn't even have been a nomination.
It shouldn't have. I probably would have replaced that with Schoolboy Q's Blue Lips.
Yeah.
Sure.
I would have replaced it with that. Auditorium Volume 1.
Or Vince Staples' album.
Vince Staples. Yeah. Vince
Auditorium
Staples.
Volume 1, to me personally, it was cool.
I liked it. It was just the songs were a little too long.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I
though.
thought it was good.
I enjoyed
but
it.
I thought they lingered a little bit too much for 2024.
Eminem, he's going to make it regardless. He can drop an album every year, whenever, and he's going to be one of the contenders for Album of the Year.
Yep.
The future Metro Boomin, We Don't Trust You. Again, this is one of those situations to where Kendrick's impact pulled a lot of this shit up. Him being featured on that and that kind of starting the whole Drake Kendrick beef, or
But he was
ignited it.
Wasn't Metro Boomin's album on there last year too with Killer Mike? The Killer Mike one, because there was that argument about that should have
what
won.
Metro Boomin
Oh yeah,
album?
yeah.
I don't.
No, what was the last year? I got to look.
There
we
was
gotta
some.
look.
Yeah,
I mean, I know there was a Travis Scott album on
that's
there.
what it was. It was Travis Scott.
But there was a Metro Boomin album too, I'm pretty sure.
And speaking of these new artists, like, first of all, I try to keep up with all sides. I did not know Benson Boone, and I did not know
No idea who that is.
Ray. I knew Sabrina Carpenter, Doechii, Teddy Swims, Chappell Roan. There was another one. I can't even pronounce the name. In no disrespect to them, but it's just like I'm not starting to sound crazy on my own podcast. But like I said, when I started looking these people up, I'm like, oh, cool. I need to. But I'm
They had a Kujarabin was one of the.
Kurajabin or whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
They were
That's
one
how
of
I
the
brought
best.
up. We brought them up.
They were one of the best new artists.
They were nominated.
And they actually had one of my favorite albums from 2 years ago
Yeah.
with Leon
Bridges. Yeah, that's how I knew him. That's
the
how I
Texas
knew him.
Sun album.
Yeah.
I was just scrolling through that in 2020 when Meg won. Kate Tronado was up for Best New Artist in 2020,
Yeah.
which is wild to think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
You know,
And the
so-
thing is, I'm like, well, who was it that wasn't aware of K-Tronado in 2020?
It goes to what we asked
You'd be
about. Has it
surprised.
changed?
Yeah, I guess.
It's
Yeah,
definitely changed.
I think the interesting thing about, again, this is the Grammys we're talking about, right? And so even though it's like the pinnacle thing for the music industry, it's kind of like a popularity cult in a way. You know, like it doesn't represent the best artists out there. It represents the best artists that are also commercially viable. And so I think it's always important to keep that in mind when we talk about the Grammys. So it's always going to be like this. Somebody said, I don't remember who said it, but it's the best new artist that essentially is commercially viable enough to pay attention to some degree. Doechii is interesting though, because she only sold like 11,000 records in her first week or something like that? Like it was,
That makes you commercially viable these days.
which is kind of crazy, you know, like that's not a lot, you know, in general, but I mean, good for her, you know, but at the same time, like she dropped a mixtape.
She dropped a mixtape, but her visual and artist presence is what got people to pay attention to her.
For sure.
So when she went on, was it Jimmy Kimmel?
I don't know.
It was one of them. When she went on that show, her performance, people were like, wow, who is this? Essentially, you know what I'm saying? When she had her tiny desk, the same reaction. Every time she steps outside and performs and wants to show people who she is, she shows off. She uses it for what she's supposed to be using it for.
I think all things considered of everything that I'm saying, I think it's great that somebody like Doechii is winning in this particular type of category.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm also going to say that it means that anything is changed. I do think that question that Professor Sky brought up about, is this the Kendrick effect? I do wonder if this is a little bit of that. Although I would also say that last year, Killer Mike won Best Rap Album.
He did.
Well, this is the thing. Because sometimes it's easy for us to, especially since the Macklemore thing happened, what was that, 10, 12 years ago now?
Cardi B.
It was so easy. Yeah, it's so easy for us to kick the Grammys backs in. But, you know, I can say, hey, and the president of NARAS came out and talked about how we've had to change, how we do things during the course of the show. And because, you know, at one point, like, The Weeknd had called
A boycott.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not, and The Weeknd performed this, you know, because it's like, and now it's like their voting body is younger. I mean, basically, he said this without saying this. At one point, our voting body was too old and too white. You know, and so now they have a younger voting body. There's 40% people of color, and so like
13,000 people too.
Yeah. So now I think with the changes they've made, because without that, there's no way Killer Mike wins. Yeah. Without that, there's no way Beyonce. I don't think, you know, if it was these same categories 10 years ago, Beyonce doesn't win Best Country Song or Best Country Album. You know, there isn't a place for Doechii, maybe not even be nominated, but certainly not to win. So I do think, you know, you have to give credit where credit is due. Is everything perfect? Are there still some flaws in the system? Probably, you know, but can I see a shift towards things being better? Like, because the nominating process, like I said, there are things I would have nominated over what was in there. But at one point, you know, like I said, I just felt like they got it wrong every year.
I just don't think it truly like really matters though, because I feel like you can swap people out, but you're not going to get away from the industry element.
No, because it's an industry event.
So my critique of the Grammys and the reason why I don't really care about it, and a lot of people similar to me don't really care about the event, it will always be that way. It will never change because of just the fundamental nature of what the Grammys just is and what it exists as. It's almost, shouts to Open Mike Eagle. He said the Grammys is really just like a way to self-fillet yourself in a popular type of way. Like, it's like, all right, cool, these are the artists that we like, and now we're just going to throw a party for them. I butchered what he said, but you get the point.
There's truth behind that, but in the same token, and we've had these discussions about the Grammys time and time again, as an artist, you being able to receive that emblem of success, even though you don't deem it as important that it is, I think once you actually get it, it's like a sense of accomplishment, so to speak.
Kinda.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I've always...
Even SZA said at one point in time, he said whenever she got her Grammy, she would pretty much retire, be done. That was her mind frame at that point in time. And she said, until I actually got one, and it kind of brought on a different meaning. You know what I'm saying?
I would kind of equate it to in the similar manner of like getting a YouTube plaque. And not exactly the same, but it's like you get the YouTube plaque that not everybody has, not a lot of people have. But at the same time, it's like, does it really matter? No, it's just something that just kind of hangs up. I think it's a little bit of leverage points to have conversations about people that have something to say about you. So it's an egoic type of thing.
A little bit, but in the same time, your numbers are going to go up based on you winning that Grammy. You winning that award, you're going to get an uptick on people checking you out.
I just think there's something
that has nothing to do with the artistic element of it.
There's something to be said about Grammy nominated, Grammy winning this. I think there's some cachet there when that's in front of it. Like, I've always been pro. I would like to get one. You know, we've had this conversation, to Terry's point, multiple times. I wouldn't mind getting one. So I would be cool with that. But I see where you're coming from as a creative, because the last 2 years have felt like we're going to throw you a bone with Killer Mike. We'll throw you a bone with Doechii. And then it might be 7 years of what it normally is, to your point, where the cycle is still going to continue.
It just depends on what is moving. It just right now, it just so happens that Kendrick Lamar is winning right now in hip hop culture.
Right.
Who knows who's winning next year? And then all of a sudden the Grammys like, well, we have to sway to whatever's going on over here.
Which wouldn't shock anybody on this panel at all.
You know, maybe the Grammys next year is a whole bunch of Playboy Cardi lookalikes.
Might be.
You know, and it's like...
No, because it's going to be Kendrick. It's going to be Kendrick.
GNX.
It's going to be GNX up with
J. Cole's going to drop a new album.
Up against what's the name? Tyler.
It's
going to that's going to be the race
Tyler's
next
gonna be
year.
Yeah, Tyler for sure. To continue our Grammy talks, Rapsody won her first Grammy for a record with Erykah Badu for Best Melodic Rap Performance for 3 a.m. at the 2025 Grammys. I think it's Erykah Badu's first in 2 decades. Now, I looked at the nominees and I listened to all the records, and I think that I would actually agree, based upon the nominees, that Rapsody and Erykah probably had the best song out of all of them.
That record's dope.
Is this important for hip hop?
I think it is, because Rapsody's story being with Ninth and Jamila, pretty much being somewhat underground, but
not to mention Rock Nation.
Rock Nation, thank you. I think this is dope. I think this may have some legs, because she's likable. This is a person that you see her win, her and Erykah Badu. I'm like, that's dope. I'm happy for her. I was genuinely happy that she won this. So hopefully other people can be as happy and also see that, you know, you can make product like this and you can be rewarded for it. So I'm with it. I like it. I think it might have some legs.
I feel like I think you can make product like this and be rewarded for it if you're in this system and they're aware of you and that type of, and you have the label backing.
So you're saying you got to have the machine as well
Absolutely.
as the content.
You have to be a part of the machine to be a part of the Grammys.
Rock Nation.
If you're not a part of the machine, then you don't get invited to the Grammys.
She's been dope prior to the machine,
Absolutely.
to her credit. So I see where you're going there. She's been dope prior to the machine.
I do want to know who else was in this category, because I think what you were saying, it's important, but this is a segment of the Grammys that was not televised. So generally, this is a situation to where it turns into a conversation piece.
Yeah,
because it didn't get as much pub, it didn't get as much viewership on it.
Right.
Who else was in this category?
Beyonce and Shabuzi's Spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
Lotto's Big Mama.
Wow.
Kehlani. How do you know?
Kehlani, you're right.
Kehlani.
And Jordan Adentunji. Song's called Kehlani. And The Weeknd, We Still Don't Trust You with Future.
Okay.
I listened to all of them. I think the Beyonce record was the only one where I could maybe think, okay, maybe. Actually, to be honest, The Weeknd, the Future record, We Still Don't Trust You, was actually super vibey.
Yeah.
Kind of had like that's actually a Future record I actually kind of like, but he wasn't really doing a lot on the record, so.
Never does.
Yeah, because I kind of wanted to know, I'm pretty sure they've probably been doing the melodic hip hop song for a while.
Yeah,
now.
this has been a pretty.
So I wanted to know what the criteria is behind.
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
Being included in that
certain amount of
category.
singing has to be involved.
Rhapsody's album was very good.
Basically, it's the R&B hip hop collaboration.
But that's interesting too, because like the Future, the Weeknd record, I don't think Future was rapping at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like best rap performance with a melodic. Well, I guess it's just melodic rap performance. So
Is
so,
very interesting.
so she won because of Erykah Badu's portion of it.
I don't know. But
Perhaps.
it's
I mean, the record's really good.
The melodic part.
It's funny
really
because
good.
the rest of those songs that you named are all commercially successful as far as radio is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
That Rapsody Erykah Badu song is not, at least not in our demographic,
No.
in our region. I've never heard that song.
It doesn't
on radio.
fit.
It's not comparable to the other four.
No,
Doesn't fit at all.
not commercially successful. So
right.
Well, she beat Beyonce in any category. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
True.
And it kind of goes to back to our previous conversation about who's on this board. Because if you think about
13,000 people,
a changing of the guard, so to speak,
Yeah.
if their musical ear is that in tune to where they would pick a Rapsody featuring Erykah Badu album over who else was considered in this category based on commercial success, that actually you know what I'm saying, speaks volumes as far as, you know what I'm saying, consumer point of view, because a lot of consumers don't have a clue of who Rapsody is. They might know who Erykah Badu is, but they don't know who Rapsody is, especially based on those songs that are in that
So
category.
how it worked? So hopefully how it works is they know now, so they can go
I
back
don't
do
think
their
that
research.
happened though, because it wasn't even televised.
I don't think the televised part, like, you know, we always talk about the televised, especially feeling slighted where hip hop is, especially if you understand this is the number one.
but it happens in rock music too, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not one rock category, you know, and once again, I didn't think about it because like my focus is hip hop. But, you know, and the thing is, like, they had establishment acts, like, you want to talk about establishment acts. The Rolling Stones and the Beatles won the rock categories.
Yeah.
I don't feel like when we talk about Killer Mike, we talk about some of the other artists who've won, who don't make what I consider to be rap music that is palatable to the Grammy voter. Okay, because like you're not going to talk about the Black Brulee and all this other stuff that Killer Mike was talking about and think, yeah, I'm gonna really get whoever who loves the most mainstream, most palatable hip hop that my kids might like. I'm gonna vote for Killer Mike. So in that way, I do think it is encouraging to people who want to actually make music about something, even if you don't care anything about that validation and it doesn't define you. I think that's the thing. I don't, even if you say, this validation does not define me. You can still say, I'm glad to receive it and
Sure.
for me to take my message and have the platform of the Grammys to push my message and the things that I'm trying to say and speak about things that I feel are important. And I think that's what Killer Mike has done, because everywhere he goes now, he is, Grammy Award winning artist, Killer Mike. And now Rapsody can say the same thing. And so with that, maybe, like I said, I didn't like this Rapsody album as much as I loved the last one she did.
I actually like this one more.
Yeah,
Really?
I did, man. I'm with Lone on that one. I enjoyed
I
it.
might have to go back, because the one that she did previous is, I think it was around the pandemic there that came out. I listened to that. That was when I put out my year-end list. That was my number one album of that year.
Yeah, I didn't really like that one too much.
Musically, this one here, yeah.
So it's also a thing where, like, okay, you can go in these spaces and say, look, I got a Grammy. Like, I need another shot. Because a lot of times with records that don't perform a certain way, that's the end of people's careers, essentially, or even having a chance to be recognized and push their message through the machine, because, they're like, well, whatever, it didn't do this. But then if you say, I want a Grammy for this, there are people who are so into other people's validation, whether it be these radio programmers, these people who write for magazines, these people who edit and own magazines. Well, print is dead, but, these online platforms that, perform as magazines now. When Rapsody, her press kit or whatever, or one of her representatives, contacts one of these outlets, they're more apt to pick up the phone because there's so much clutter out here. So, like, I can be, like I said, I like the song. I didn't think it was going to win, just because when you look at the heavy hitters who are in that category, you can understand why, sometimes there's just things that get nominated. And you're like, oh man, I remember when Foreign Exchange got nominated. I was so happy they got nominated, but I knew they weren't going to win. I mean, like, and they lost to an album that I don't think was very good. I think NDRE had put out an album that I just thought was just trash. Sorry, and I love NDRE, but like, this wasn't it. And
was that the one where she cut her hair off?
I don't even remember. It's one of those records I listened to once and I was like, I'm done. And it certainly wasn't as good as what the Foreign Exchange had put out that year. And sometimes I think, like, there are people on the Grammy boards that, like, hey, we'll seem like we have some credibility if we have this here. We won't let it win. But now I think, seeing this, I think, is encouraging specifically for, and like I said, I'm not trying to pit women against each other, but when you see Doechii win, when you see Rapsody win, you're like, okay, maybe that will encourage other female hip hop artists. It's like, we don't have to, shake ass to be validated and have the industry acknowledge our artistic merit. So, I mean, like I said, I could be completely wrong, and there'll be 10 Sexy Reds and 10 Lottos and all that. And that's because, hey, that's what pays the bills and keeps things moving in these buildings. But I'm just saying, like, there is another way for art, just like the same way Kendrick is acknowledged, like, for all the, for him to be able to put out these songs about emotional intelligence and, and being able to talk about therapy and relationships with his family. There's a place for that. And you just don't have to talk about strip clubs and shooting people like that. I mean, I understand that's the quick buck, but there is another way. If you want to become an artist and become successful. And, like, there are definitely now things that you can look to.
Yeah. That's why I was saying I kind of feel like the era of the artist is kind of here right now, because it's requiring more from you artistically as a musician versus just doing the bare minimum in order to be, I mean, you can do that to be accepted into the fold, essentially. But for you to be a decorated musician is going to take more now. I think people are kind of shifting their focus over to people that have more substance to their music, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I hope you're right.
I mean, because none of you are selling any
I really
records.
hope you're right.
Yeah,
So
sure.
you might as well talk about something.
Cowboy Carter wasn't as good as Renaissance.
What about Lemon?
Renaissance definitely should have won probably the best album in the category she was nominated in. And we're coming off a year where Lemonade 2.
Yeah.
We're coming off a year where previously Jay-Z won the Dr. Dre Impact Award or whatnot. And he used his speech to pretty much say that My wife has not ever won an album of the year.
She's got a bazillion other Grammys, though.
She
right?
does. I
It's
mean,
like
I think she has the most Grammys of all time.
like, who cares?
But
I
she
mean, I get
has
it.
she has her body of work is very good. It's very good.
Sure.
But Taylor Swift was in some of these categories,
She's like in all of them.
and she didn't take home anything. And mind you, Taylor Swift is America's sweetheart.
Just a correction year, maybe.
Taylor Swift, when I saw Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish basically in all those categories, I was like, I mean, like I said on this show before, I was like, you know what, Beyonce needs to stop showing up to these and being disrespected.
I mean, I heard Billie Eilish had the best album of the year. But
Billie Eilish had a good album.
She had a good album, you know.
But Lone, didn't I just say? I said earlier, it's like they threw you a couple bones. Killer Mike last year, and then this year it's another bone.
But is it
that's what it feels
is
like?
it them throwing a bone, or is it them like really? Because the thing is, I can
Only
make,
time
I can
is going to
make,
tell
I
that.
Can, yeah,
It's cyclical. It's like we have
because-
this conversation every like 3 years.
Yeah,
It's like-
but I can make it. You know, I can make a. I like Cowboy Carter as much as I like any individual Beyonce record ever.
I don't
Really?
like any Beyonce albums, so
You know, I've
I know that I'm the anomaly.
Yeah, and I'm not, I'm not a country music fan, but I loved Texas Hold'em. I love that record she did with Miley Cyrus. Thank you.
That one won an award.
That one won an award as well. You know, and so
Was
like,
Spaghetti on that album?
yes,
That wasn't a country record.
Well,
And
that's
that-
the thing.
and
That,
that's
that
a lot of
album,
the conversation.
That album is not 100% country.
Yep, that's a lot of the conversation. That's where
I feel like
there's
they
a
were-
lot of pushback about that specific topic. Lone, it's not a country album.
so I could, if people want to get mad, because
riling up the white folks.
Yeah, I could.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, because
Thank
it
you.
won country. It won country album of the year, where it wasn't nominated for any of the CMAs. They didn't.
That's what makes it even more polarizing that
makes it
she
so
won,
funny.
That's
bro.
what makes it
That-
awesome.
That's
yeah.
what makes it funny.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of upset people. There's people saying that Post Malone is more country than Beyonce.
Don't
And
get me started.
I hate
on
to
that.
have to give Beyonce.
Is she not?
Beyonce is from born and raised in Texas.
So
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 this
just
is
because
part-
you're in Texas doesn't
No.
mean you're country.
She is country because she's from Texas.
Okay.
It's like people would consider us country because we're from Indiana.
But it doesn't mean we make country. But we're not. We're talking about country
that's
music.
not where I was going.
Okay.
here.
Okay.
She's from Texas, born and raised around country shit. She probably came up on country music the same
sure.
way as another country
I
artist.
can dig all
did.
that. I can dig all that.
You know what I'm saying? She has every right to make a country album as a person like Post Malone does. Post Malone doesn't know where he wants to fit in this
or
thing.
like Jelly Roll
Fair.
is made.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
He's a country
and,
artist.
and the thing about Jelly Roll is he has a whole group of people that don't know who Jelly Roll was prior to him making country. Jelly Roll was a rap artist
tell them.
who did a whole lot of songs with Lil White and 3-6 Mafia in them. And now all of a sudden he's a country artist. And I don't see any fault with what he's doing.
I'm just gonna say this: if it was wrong with Jelly Roll, then it's wrong with Beyonce.
I didn't see any fault with what he did.
You know, that's all that I would say.
My thing is, we talk about Post Malone. Post Malone, he does whatever.
He's whatever he
you know
is.
What I'm saying?
Right.
I don't see anything wrong with what Jelly Roll does. I'm saying fan wise, for Jelly Roll, there's a lot of fans that he has that has no idea of his catalog beyond this album that just came out.
Agreed.
So you can't sit here and tell me that Jelly Roll is more country. Definitely not a Post Malone is more country
That's
than a
fair.
Beyonce.
That's fair, I guess.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I can.
That's my
I
only
can
point.
concede that. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, but at the same time, like, it's kind of a slap in the face to country music. If like, it'd be the same thing. Like, if like I don't know. If
I need you to know because I know you got a good one.
It's
I
like-
need you to know.
it would be like if, I don't know, Linkin Park came back and they made like a rock rap album and it was mostly rock and they was rapping sometimes and he won best hip hop album.
Well,
Like,
it was mostly country.
was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, like, yeah, there's like maybe 2 or 3 songs that we like.
Yeah, it was.
I will give her that.
That sound
But
like,
if we're talking about-
it was a country. It was
definitely like
because
Lone,
because like you can listen to certain, like Taylor Swift won her first Grammy for a country album.
Yeah,
You know, and like
and she crossed over to the pop.
and
ain't country sense.
And so like you can understand where like honestly, how are we counting how many twangs are in it before we call it country?
I guess that's my
Maybe
argument,
it's I don't know
right?
how to quantify what makes it a country album.
For sure, I think that's where I'm coming from. I kind of take Beyonce out of it. Mm-hmm. Like, isn't this in general? We can bring it back to potentially Jelly Roll and potentially Post Malone. Does this just bastardize the whole genre of country music if people can just jump in and play along with the aesthetics of whatever a country music record is? Win the award just because they're a big artist, and then go and do something else. Like, isn't that kind of the same?
I think what Terry said though about her being her authenticity from being from down there, I think that's the part that makes her different from someone else.
My argument,
Does it though?
This is my argument.
Plus the record having 85-90% of the records being country records. Those two things.
The only reason I brought that up is because of the fans. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking as far as obviously she's country because she's from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm more so talking from the standpoint of a fan saying, I'm not watching the Grammys anymore because Jelly Roll and a Post Malone is more country than Beyonce. And actually, I've witnessed this conversation firsthand. I was in a doctor's office and there were people in there, this was months ago, who were having a conversation amongst themselves, and I made a point not to enter the conversation because I didn't want it to go there because it's kind of irritating me. It's talking about how, I didn't listen to Beyonce's country album. Like, they didn't want to even listen to it.
They didn't want to acknowledge it.
They didn't want to acknowledge it. So they were like, Post Malone, his country album is really good. So like, you can listen to his country album, right, but you don't want to even acknowledge this album. And that goes to the stereotypes and the racism and all the stuff related to that. And they were saying that he's more country than Beyonce is, which is 100% not true. Especially when we talk about, I don't know where Post Malone is from, but we know what he paraded as when he came into the game. Regardless of what he did before. I feel like he started out as country, but honestly, I don't know a lot about. No, he kind of started out as like before the White Iverson stuff.
Yeah, we don't
weird
know.
Like folk type something or another.
Acoustic.
And then that goes into like the definition of like what country music really is, right?
Good point.
Because country music could be a whole lot of things, because you could say, like you said, like there's like the culture of being country, and then there's country music. Mm-hmm. I would say Beyonce is from the culture of being country, but she's not from the culture of country music. And I think those are two different things. And I think that's the argument that I see often in the defense for Beyonce. Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you define country music as.
But I feel like people use that in defense for Beyonce, in defense of the racism that she is receiving from the fans that are doing exactly the same thing that you said. It's almost like two wrongs almost don't make a right type thing. It's like, I don't know. Like, I just look at it in general. Like, I don't think I'll ever look at Beyonce as a country artist.
I don't think she wants you to.
No, nor will I.
Yeah.
Will I.
And she kind of addressed that during one of her acceptance speeches, as far as artists being able to participate in genres that, and since they feel like shape them. You know what I'm saying?
But hold on. But she didn't win for best country album. She won for best album, though,
No, she
right?
won best country album too.
Best country album and best record.
But she won best.
She won album of the year.
Best album of the year. Yeah.
So to me, that point is moot. It doesn't matter if
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Maybe
if it was that
the country,
one.
maybe the country category.
Yeah.
But
That's
as far
the
as
one.
like best album of the year, I don't think that matters.
Nah.
The country album of the year is the one that has everybody in a
Got you.
tizzy.
But the wild thing is because when I see she wins album of the year and then country album of the year, but then she does, like, when she doesn't sweep the other categories, usually there's a precedent for that.
Yeah.
You know, okay, then, but she still loses to Rapsody, which that's why I was like, that's why when, you know, at the end, when I watched the end results and I saw how I was like, how did that happen? How did Beyonce lose in these, I don't want to call them smaller categories because they send you the same Grammy
They are
regardless.
smaller categories, though.
And win album of the year and country album of the year. That means you're supposed to basically sweep everything as far as the voters are concerned.
Because, I mean, Kendrick put his stamp down this year.
He did.
Every category he was in, he won.
Yeah.
He did.
So, like, you know, it was, so when he wins record and song of the year, like, there should be, it makes sense that he won rap performance, rap song.
Yeah, math ain't math.
And, you know, so there's something.
It's like Outkast. When they won in multiple categories before they won album of the year.
Right.
Yep.
Same thing with Lauryn Hill. Same thing with Alicia Keys. It's like, okay, if you win this, then if you win this, basically it goes from top down.
Yeah.
So if you win album of the year, you're gonna win this, you're gonna win these other smaller categories, and that's how it's done for Beyonce. But that's the thing. They'll give her all the other awards, but won't give her album of the year. Never won't give her album of the year.
That's why it feels like a redemption type of situation here. Because to your point, she'll go to the awards and sweep every category,
and they'll put the camera on her,
and then won't win album of the year.
And they'll watch Beck walk up on stage,
or Taylor Swift.
Yeah. We remember, we were outside.
Or Adele. Like that's why when I saw that Taylor Swift was, when she got up and won last year, she announced her tour, a new album. I was like, Beyonce might as well just stay home.
Yeah, I mean Taylor Swift.
I'm glad she didn't listen to me.
The biggest tour that's ever been pretty much accounted for. Her tour that she just finished up actually here in the city.
Yeah, so her not cashing in is
not getting anything.
That's the biggest shock to me. Her not, to Terry's point about the sweetheart thing, it's not even close.
I want to give her a shout out though, because Taylor Swift be at these shows enjoying herself.
She does.
And she definitely gives props where props are due.
Sure.
And she's never disgruntled about whatever's going on.
That's a good point.
So I want to give her props to the artistry that she does, whether I listen to her personally, but she is like a solid artist. And when we talk about anybody that could have had a lawsuit against somebody, she could have sued the shit out of Kanye.
She could have, but you never see her bitter.
Yeah,
you never see her bitter.
Never.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I'll give her a shout out on that. I don't like to see her every time Kelsey scores a touchdown. Well, but she's a solid individual as far as it goes. As far as an artist is concerned,
you might as well not even watch the Super Bowl because them cutaways gonna be crazy.
Yeah, she's gonna be in there, but I ain't mad at her. She be having a good time at these shows. She be having her drink in her hand.
Yeah, if I saw her
dancing, nah, for real, man, she be having a good time.
And Caitlin Clark was in the booth.
You know what's crazy? Like she seems to act like she's one of those people that I feel like actually has an appreciation for other artists. Like,
she be knowing the lyrics and everything.
Yeah, so because some people just sit there with the.
Nah, she was
sitting on their hands, waiting for their time to get acknowledged, and then
she was out there getting it, not like us.
Yeah.
Oh man, that must have hurt Drake's feelings so much.
It did. NewOldHeads.com for all the education you need this year. If you see it, like it, subscribe, hit any bell that you see for notifications, and also give us a 5-star rating in any platform that you see and feel fit to do so. Also, check out our Patreon page, and we appreciate the support. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.